Hello, hello, you guys. Welcome to another episode of the Well Balanced series. Really keeping these going. Today I'm talking to Jenna, so super excited to talk with her. She's a future NTP, so going to be graduating in the coming months. We've connected personally through school, so I'm super excited to finally meet her virtually. But we are talking today about how to prioritize nutrition on a budget and when you're busy, because everyone's busy and everyone wants to save money. So this is a great conversation and I cannot wait to chat with her. So let me go ahead and add her in to the combo. This part is started. Let's see. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I am good. It's so ironic that we're talking about busyness and such because I literally just got off work 2 minutes ago, dashed to another room, and so we're doing it.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it because it's 5:30 here. So I was like, oh, geez, flex. Where are you again?
In Houston. Yeah.
Houston. Oh man, hot.
Yes, it is insane. Thank you, Houston, for like 106-degree weather this week.
Yeah, Atlanta's not any better. It's been like 95, but the humidity is so bad. I don't even want to go outside. And it's like winter, like hibernating. Why are we, it's like you're back to ground zero. Like, what do you do? So
Yeah.
I feel that. Well, I'm super glad that you're here, and it's so nice to finally meet you.
Yes.
And I appreciate you hopping on. I know after a long day of work, it's probably the last thing you want to do, but hey, we're gonna make it happen and have some fun.
Excited, yes.
But okay, so I always start off with an introduction. So explaining to the listeners who you are, what got you into this industry, obviously nutritional therapy in general. And then we'll dive into the specific topic, which is nutrition on a budget. I had some questions come in, so we'll talk about those. And yeah, all that good stuff. So go for it.
Awesome. I love it. So my journey has kind of been through, I think a lot of us practitioners just through personal health history, and our journeys have led us, to the point of wanting to help other people and just being so passionate about the research that we've done and the hours that we've spent studying and just learning and healing ourselves. And so that's definitely my journey too. Have had so many different things pop up, in the past like 10 years. Since being a teenager, graduating high school, going out into the world, and just like the stress of life hits, and just started having kind of crazy digestive stuff. I lived in another country for a few years, and so probably
cool.
Different environment and all of that, picked up some things along the road. But yeah, when I moved back to the States and just was kind of at the pinnacle of the digestive issues and having ulcers and like eating 5 foods, that were safe and not painful, just started me down the road of just holistic nutrition and functional medicine, and just really trying to find those solutions, without having to go the conventional route with doing antibiotics, every time, and just how that goes. And so yeah, it's been about 5 years since I really dug in deep to just the functional medicine side, and went to tons of doctors and was on birth control for a while, and that kind of exacerbated everything, and I lost my cycle for a while. And so yeah, just between digestive, hormonal, I had appendicitis and had, to get...
Girl, you had it all.
Yeah, and so just along the way, kind of just seeing what works, and have done every diet under the sun, and most of them didn't work, long term. And so you feel good for a while and then realize like this is not sustainable. And so finally coming into like nutritional therapy and a more just nutrient dense focus has been pivotal in seeing so many of those things finally resolved, and actually getting to a place where I'm like, my husband and I can both eat the same things, and actually enjoy it, and not cook 2 different meals, and and then see no change. And so it's been a really cool journey. I have learned so much, and I'm so excited to keep going with my certification, and and just help empower and educate other women how they can nourish and heal their bodies too.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so cool how pretty much everyone on these lives has a very similar story. You know, we've all been through the same kinds of things, whether it was birth control, medications, just getting normal kind of diagnoses after a while, or you're okay, and then we're finally at a point where, you know, we want answers and want to dig deeper. And I think that that's so amazing that this is becoming a profession to help with that, because I think it's the future of medicine for sure, and just health. But you know, we all have been there in some sort of way. So I think that's awesome that you're doing the NTPA and everything, whatever, NTPA, and pursuing it. So you're still working full time, right?
Yes. Yeah, I actually work for my church. I'm a receptionist, and so do that by day and then study and do everything else by night and weekends. So it's a good setup right now. But yes, busyness is definitely a thing for sure that I know a lot of us experience and have to juggle, you know,
Yeah.
when we want to start being intentional with our health and being mindful, you know, of our stress, but then you're like, what can I take out of my life? Because everything is, you know, necessary. And so it's definitely.
Yeah, and I think like the busyness looks so different for everyone, right? Like obviously I used to do corporate. I didn't last very long, but I tried for a little while, and then went into even entrepreneurship has been kind of my journey for the past few years, but that's been a whole other thing. And then haven't entered motherhood yet, but you know, that's going to be a whole other aspect of busyness and stress. And it's never going to end, but it's just, at what point are we, like you said, prioritizing those things and putting in those non-negotiables, and really just trying to focus on those foundations to keep us centered? Because I think this is something that we all relate to. And and I think that's one of the biggest things that people tend to not want to, it scares them in terms of achieving health, right? Like, I'm too busy, I don't have time, it's stressful, I'm gonna have to meal prep every single day, I'm gonna have to do all these things. And so I think that it's definitely trying to shed light on the fact that, yeah, you're gonna need to try to put some priority here, but there's also a realistic approach that you can take, and something that's going to be valuable long term. And during those different phases, you can focus on different foundations to help you in those areas.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like you said, everyone is in a different season, you know, so it could be, you know, you're out every night at sports practices, or yeah, you are just a busy, you know, at-home mom with littles. I mean, the stress and the busyness that revolves around that, I feel like is just, it's inescapable in our culture unless you do go off grid, literally, which I know a lot of us are like, yes, Lord, like there one day. But it's just not feasible, you know, for the culture and the seasons of life that we're in for the most part.
Absolutely. So let's talk about stress, just in terms of like how it affects our health in that way. So if you feel comfortable talking about that, definitely just kind of how also you've seen that physically, how that was taking part in your journey. And then also, have you learned that in the NTA yet, the stress connection? Okay. Then explaining that from the internal perspective of like how that affects our bodies, which I want you to do.
Yeah, so stress plays so much more of a role in our health than I think many of us realized, you know, from the beginning going into kind of health journeys. And then even now, like I will catch myself just like be doing all the supplements, all the food, you know, all the lifestyle changes, but like not really getting a handle on those big emotional stressors, the physical stressors, because what stress does is it creates imbalance in our body, because it releases hormones. You know, you've got the cortisol, you have the adrenaline that are constantly, you know, getting out into your bloodstream. And those are great hormones when you're in like an emergency fight or flight situation and you need a quick reaction and something's got to happen. But when those hormones are continually being released, it just sets the framework for a lot of more serious health issues down the road, because it will start leading to, you know, blood sugar imbalance, like the digestive stuff, hormonal, you know, just it interferes with the good hormones that I mean, not that there's good and bad hormones, but it interferes with the hormones we want things to be regulating. And so it is just so pivotal. But that's, I mean, the never ending question, right? Is like, how can we keep our stress under control?
Right.
And how can we, alleviate, you know, those things that are causing it? I love the phrase. I think, I don't know who originally coined it. I've seen like the Real Food Gangstas account.
Mm-hmm.
but you can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. And so to some degree, like, we have to have major shifts, either mentally or physically or environmentally, that are going to help us get to the place where our health goals want to be.
Right.
Because that stress is always going to be there, but there are, things and mindsets that we can do and shift. And, there are areas that you can, make changes on, that might not appear right away, but
Right.
the door can open, once you start looking for it and really seeking it out. And so it is possible. It really is, to get the stress level under control. I'm currently in the middle of it still, trying to figure out, because I'll go, a week and feel like I'm doing good. And then all of a sudden I'll see like my temperatures drop and like, oh my gosh, like I know I was stressing too much last week, just because that's a big marker of just seeing how well your thyroid is doing and your metabolism, is keeping up with your health. And so, yeah, there's lots of things that even I'm like on a week-to-week basis really having to be cognitive and conscious of, for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on the temperature thing. I'll see like a dip every once in a while, and thankfully, it's not really like the one-off dips that you should worry about. It's really the whole picture, but still, it makes me freak out because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed, and then I'm like, wait, this is making it worse. So, it's just one of those things, or you're worried about it. And I think that comes in health too. You're worried of failure, you're worried about doing it well, especially if you've come from like a diet culture mindset, and it seems stressful to have to do all of these things. And so you're like, well, what do I prioritize? What do I need to focus on? It's not working. What do I do? And all those kinds of things. So I think it's hard the whole busyness stress thing, it has to come with a blanket of grace involved, because you have to be really realistic, but also patient and all those kinds of things. So in terms of managing busyness and your stress with regards to your nutrition journey, like, what are some things that you started implementing that have made a really big difference?
Yeah, so I have recently just adopted the kind of framework of rhythms and, finding those things that are small that you can integrate into your day every single day. So kind of like what you mentioned at the beginning, just different non-negotiables. I mean, for me, some of those are like getting outside every morning, at least getting the sun in my eyes and my face, and allowing that to be how I wake up, just to set. I mean, we know all the benefits of being outside and being in the sun, like, are insane. But if you can at least do like 5 minutes, if you can't do 15
I love the sun.
Yeah, that's going to make a huge difference just in setting up your blood sugar for the day, set up your hormones, getting your stress level kind of already off to a good start. And then another one for me is like meal prepping at least once a week, so I have a couple, at least like lunches to take to work. Breakfasts are ready to go, or at least I know what I'm doing. So having a plan along with that, I think, really helps stress levels, like knowing what's coming, and being prepared. Right. And just limits on social media. I think that is the hardest one for all of us, but holy smokes, I think our stress levels would be insanely different if we could actually implement, the social media goals that I think we would be like, oh, like 1 hour a day would be ideal. But I mean, realistically, like, how often do we actually do that?
I know. I even use the timer on the phone, and I have like a set limit, but then it's not really helpful. It used to like shock me or something, because it's literally like, okay, yeah, your time's up. Yeah, but I'm not done. And I'm usually in the middle of posting something, or obviously these lives add to my time, and I'm like, okay, but I didn't actually do anything. And for us too, it takes time to actually generate and post and keep up with content that we're learning from. I mean, I think Instagram has been great because it is a huge educational outlet for people now. But yeah, it's all about how can you have those boundaries and set that for yourself, because it gets so easy to get wrapped up in it.
Yes, exactly. It is, but that's a big one. I mean, I think if we could really discipline, get into the habit of being a little bit more disciplined with that, I think our stress levels would go down a lot. And then there's like going to bed at the same time, just being consistent with that. If you can get outside and move, that is a huge one just for helping with stress. And then, I mean, for me, one thing that I'm really, really trying to be, it's so sad, you know, that when you're so busy, like you have to be intentional about making time for fun. Like
Yes.
it's like you have to, that's gonna just be huge with stress. Like if you're not having any fun, like you're just gonna be a ball of stress. And that's pretty much it. So at least, you know, once a week on the weekend, going out and doing something really intentionally fun, is a really important thing for me too.
Yeah, I've had to kind of relearn that as well. Just kind of being like, okay, I'm a very checklisty type of person, so I'm trying to get all these things done in a day, but then at the end of the day, I might miss one or two, but then I always look back and be like, what do I need to do that's going to make me happier in this moment or provide more joy because I've already, maximized the day. So at this point, what can I do? Or like for example, I was leaving for the dentist this morning and I was like, well, do I want to get ready really quick or do I want to make sure to eat really quickly? And so I knew if I didn't eat, I would feel bad later. So I was like, I'm going to prioritize eating and then I will come back to the getting ready, which didn't really happen. So, but less of a priority, but like they're doing things that make me feel better and not the joy aspect as much, but just taking care of yourself. And I think the joy plays a big part in that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, even just going outside and going for a walk, saying hey to your neighbors, I went to dinner, go to dinner, do those kinds of things. I think people too get scared about doing that because they're like, well, I'm not gonna be able to follow the rules or stay in line with the habits. And it's just, it's tough to get that barrier, break that barrier sometimes, but we want you to have fun. You should have fun.
Yeah. I'm a huge, I just like feel like so strongly that community and, you know, who you surround you with is going to play so much more of a part in your healing than not having that meal, you know, that you would have eaten out with them.
Right.
If that makes sense. So, you know, avoiding the meal, that's going to cause your healing, you know, to be more pivotal, or, you know, the community and the people that you need, that's going to play so much more of a part than, you know, just missing that one meal that, you know, may not agree with you as well, or, you know, has some, you know, vegetable oil or whatever. And so,
of course, in the Mexican queso, worth it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the nutrition or just like living healthy on a budget, I guess, because that's kind of the main thing we were here for to do. So kind of discussing, especially with you working full time, some things you've implemented that have really helped you kind of release that stress, but also maximize your budget and utilize those things. And then I think just, again, like different stages of life, how can we offer support within those areas that tend to get busier and, tend to make it harder for us to kind of achieve those goals?
Yeah. So I think just depending on the season you are, I mean, I think a lot of the girls in our, you know, age and demographic, like probably are still working, you know, in the world and doing a 9 to 5 or even, you know, more hours than that. And so really just comes down to like where you are and, you know, what you can do. So, I mean, if you're like the type of person that wants to jump on the train for one of those, you know, nifty like meal kits, you know, that gets sent to your door and you already have the ingredients like chopped and ready to go, like I think that's an amazing option, you know, if you can afford it and just the meals are nutrient dense and quality, like that's a great choice. If you are prioritized more like doing your own home cooked meals, I think like prepping and planning goes a long way. And so like just planning out 1 to 2 weeks in advance, like what you're going to do, and then having all those ingredients, you know, all ready, and then reusing stuff, you know, that you don't end up using just is so pivotal. And so meal prepping and planning, hugely helpful for the budget. I think prioritizing like what you want to spend more money on and what you're less money on, you know, is going to be big too, because some people might want to like non-negotiable do all organic produce,
Right.
you know, but they're okay with maybe conventional meat. And so, I mean, it really just depends on what your priorities are. You know, if you really want to prioritize the highest quality animal products, you know, go get your raw meat and get, you know, the quarter of a cow or all the grass-fed, you know, beef and pasture-raised chicken. Like that's an amazing thing to prioritize, but then you might not have as much margin later for the fully organic produce, you know, and all the just everything else. And so I think just prioritizing what you really have at the top of your list as far as quality and nutrient density, and then going from there and just being flexible and knowing that like seasons change and things shift, and what you can do this year, like you might be able to do twice that much next year. um, and so just being flexible with that too, and not getting down when you feel like you're not doing enough, like you're not doing all the organic, you're not doing all the pasture raised, you're not like making your own bone broth, and
I think that's like, yeah, there are people that take this stuff to the extreme, which I like totally respect, but there's just no way the average person's going to be able to do that,
yeah,
We don't live on farms in the middle of nowhere with our animals, like it's just not happening. So, like you said, it's about balance act, but also what your priorities are, and those change for every person. And I think that at least with clients that I've worked with too, they're constantly like, Kelly, can I eat this? Can I eat this? And I'm like, yes, eat it. A one-time thing is not going to be a big deal. What are we focusing on from the everyday perspective, right? Like, are you consuming coffee every day? Then okay, maybe we should look into a healthier swap there. Or whether it's, you're drinking milk and you're focusing on a lot of processed nut milks and you're not really getting a lot of nutrients, like maybe we should switch it over, whatever it is. But I think that the perception that you have to do everything in health, have everything organic, like you were saying, meet the standards of everything it's unrealistic. I don't even do it. And so I just think that I love hearing that from other practitioners too, because that's what I think people need to hear, because they don't want to make the shift because they feel like they have to go all in, and that's just not the case. So I love that. But for those listening too, there's a thing called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, which the Environmental Working Group evaluates in terms of toxicity on pesticides with like vegetables and fruits. So that's can be a great way for you to kind of prioritize certain fruits and vegetables if you are somebody who wants to kind of make some better shifts, because they do have an impact. But at the end of the day, again, if you're going to focus on your priority meats and things like that, and get the conventional vegetables or the ones that maybe have thicker barriers, whatever it is, it's all a game just to pick and choose and not stress yourself out, because it's going to get ridiculous if you do that. But I'm curious if you follow that like pretty strictly, or I think from your post last night, you said you're pretty, you obviously use it as a guide and it's helpful and do the best you can, but you're not, to the T every day or every week.
Yeah, no, I would, if I could, and it was part of our margin, but it's just not right now. And this is probably another conversation, but my husband and his family come from agriculture. Oh. And so they just have a little bit of a different perspective on what really goes on behind a lot of the organic practices as well. And so, I mean, that's just a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Oh my God, I want to talk about that.
Kind of where I stand right now is like, I'll do what I can, but if I don't bring home organic, like, I'm going to be okay.
I think it's like when and you've seen it, even if you've watched documentaries on Netflix, it's hard to unsee it. And that's why people choose certain paths and respect to any path that you choose. It's just, again, like you're not going to get everything. And even if you pick up an organic apple, you really don't know where that came from. So it's just a matter of doing the best that you can do, even swapping out non-toxic products, focusing on movement, stress. It all comes together. Like,
yeah.
You know that. But yeah, so I think that's really interesting. So I had someone was asking about healthy food for cheap, like where to buy healthy food for cheap. I don't know what's in Houston, but I know in Atlanta, for example, Aldi can be a really affordable option. They have great organic produce and just honestly like grass-fed organic meat products, good, even just like nut butters and things without a bunch of oils if that's something that you enjoy. And then Trader Joe's, honestly, like their produce as well is pretty good. I don't recommend a lot of their packaged items, but that just comes with, knowledge, but also, balance in terms of if you have a dessert that you like from there, it's all good. But I would say that those would be my top two. We have Kroger here too, which is kind of in the middle area between like a Whole Foods or like a Walmart. But what about you? What's in your area that you typically shop at?
Yeah. So I don't live in an area that has an Aldi or like a really good CSA option, but I mean, we do have a Costco. And so, if you have a Costco or a Sam's Club, like those are great things to invest in for a membership. And don't go every week, obviously, because that will be so expensive. But
It
if you
adds up so fast.
once a month or even once a quarter and just like stock up on meat because they do have good meat options there for pretty reasonable prices, and the dairy products like the butter and the eggs, those things are good. A lot of the dried fruit, they have on sale, and so that's always a great idea. But I think just being aware of like what is around you and what you can do, like if there's farmers market pop-ups, like those are amazing, and sometimes those can be more expensive, because they're like specialty, but sometimes like they have amazing deals, on produce.
Wait, you're kind of going out on me.
Okay.
I don't know if it's you or me, but you're blurry now.
Oh no.
And there's a little thing. It might be me. I don't want to lose you. I hate internet.
I know. That's why I said
Okay, just keep going.
my house internet.
It might be my end, but
yeah, so just being aware of like what is around you. Club. Some people might have Aldi. Uh-oh. Yeah, you were spinning for a second.
okay. I see you. You're still a little blurry, but I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I think it might be your connection.
Yeah, that's so weird because you can see me fine.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, this is annoying. Okay, well, just keep going. We're wrapping up anyways.
Okay. Yeah, and then I think I just wanted to encourage people to just because your budget pretty much stays the same, but then once you start adding in supplements, like that can get a little bit crazy. And so, finding like a practitioner, their full script account, it's like 30% off most supplements, and they have huge just huge dispensary options there. And then like just waiting for sales that come, quarterly and stuff like that, and not just feeling like you have to like every single month be on the exact same supplements unless, you're on a protocol, like not medical advice. If you're working with someone, obviously follow what they're instructing you. But if you're just, taking stuff that you've wanted to and, feel like is beneficial, then, I mean, there's really good ways to either cycle in supplements, every 3 or 4 months and take a break, or just buying in bulk when you see a sale. And so not having to rely on Amazon, every month to get the same things, but
yeah,
and of those times where you can get.
No, I think you're. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say even your post yesterday just about I think you said cycling through the supplements, like doing, if you're taking a probiotic, take it for 2 or 3 months, and then take a break and or do a different brand, or give yourself a month break. I think it's helpful because it does get overwhelming, and it's so easy to just have so many things that you're spending money on, and then you have nothing else to spend money on.
Yeah, and if you're not seeing changes or feeling like it's making a difference, like definitely let that supplement like set to the side for a couple months and then maybe reintroduce it, because you might realize like, no, this really isn't making a difference in anything. Or you might feel like, wow, like I can actually tell, like more energy, or I feel like my digestion's improving. So I did that for years. Like I just took 20 different things that somebody told me to and like never saw any change. Mm-hmm. And so I think just being aware, what is really working with your body and not being afraid to like self-experiment, find out, we don't have to spend $200 a month on supplements. So just be aware of that too. That you can absolutely prioritize and, switch out, cycle through. It's definitely doable, and you should, if that's,
for sure.
Something already.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I think that that's really helpful because I think it's just, again, it's a lot, and always start with food, and then if those aren't addressing your concerns, then progress into additional support. But don't just blindly supplement and spend a bunch of money on things you don't really know what they're doing. Okay, so one more question really quick. Can you still hear me? I still can't see you, so I'm just talking to myself.
Oh my goodness.
So you're literally like a blur. I don't know if it's gonna end up uploading like that or if people can see you, but I can't see you.
On my
Okay, so what?
on my side, it's fine.
Okay, well that's good to know. Another thing was protein options for college students. So I thought that was a good question. I mean, definitely like any animal protein would be a great option if you're able to. Just obviously very nutrient dense. There can be granola bars that you can option for as well that have a little higher protein content. You just want to be careful of like the sugars and the oils. I would say, I'm trying to think of like some other things that you could grab and go and those kinds of things like beef jerky sticks.
Yeah,
what were you saying?
Yeah, beef jerky would be awesome. Like if you have a little mini fridge in your room to keep yogurt, good quality little yogurt. Cottage cheese has so much protein. If you do okay with the texture and the flavor, I know a lot of people it's not their jam, but you really do get good bang for your buck there. And then also, I think like even investing in a good quality key there. Protein powder can be helpful too. Like if you're just struggling, in the mornings or just throughout the day to really get enough protein if you don't have access, to the cafeteria and stuff. So, I mean, there's like Paleo Valley bone broth protein is a great one. I think Clean Naked, I think it's called Naked Casein, is a good brand. And then obviously we love Perfect Supplements, like making, I don't know if you have access, to make gummies. I don't know if that's possible in a dorm room, but getting collagen, just in anything that you can is really just going to help your protein count during the day too. So.
Yeah, that was actually the last question. Favorite protein powders. So you already knew. But yeah, totally agree. And I think even like if you're going for a more plant-based option, which, at least it's clean, Truvani is really good. Another one, Sprout Living is really good. And then I'm trying to think of any others. But I like Paleo Valley a lot. Definitely the other one you said, I don't remember. But yeah, great options. And I think I remember when I was in school, I would just like wake up. It was horrible, but it was definitely, I think it was oat milk or something. I don't even know because I don't even know it was around back then. But it was something, and then just this like milk shake, and it had protein in it, but it was just horrible ingredients. And it was protein, and I was like, oh, I'm getting nutrients, but no, live and learn. So if you can do like a whole milk or a clean nut milk or even coconut milk or something like that, coconut cream or something, and mixing it with a protein powder, that's a great on the go kind of option for just running around the school. But yeah, so okay, well that wraps up pretty much the questions, and I think those were some great tips. So we'll let you get home and have your evening, but just want to finish up with explaining like how people can find you, where they can support you, and of course your practice that will be coming soon.
Yeah, no, thanks so much, Kelly. Amazing. You can find me at Well Grounded Nutrition on Instagram and Facebook. I also have a free guide when you sign up for my email list, and I have another one coming soon, so look out for that. It'll be really good. It's actually going to be a protein freebie, so stay tuned. That'll be in the next couple weeks, and yeah, I think that's it for right now.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to continue to watch you grow and grow this practice that you're wanting, and hopefully leave corporate eventually. But it was a joy talking with you, and yeah, I hope you have a great evening.
Thank you. You too, Kel. We'll talk to you.
Bye.